So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome and welcome back here at BSN Network. Today we'll be back here at BSN Arc. This is the BSN Arc podcast here today. It is Friday, August 21st. Hope everybody's having a good day so far and had a good rest of their day yesterday. I know I did. It is Friday. I was one step closer to the weekend. After today, it is, in fact, the weekend, which is great. Yeah, that's good. One quick thing to say on the Around the Diamond Pod, I will do it if I can find time. That's really all I could say. I will do it if I can find time and if I'm, kind of just really in the mood to really do it. Because sometimes on weekends, I really just like to kind of just take those off days, I guess you could say, and just kind of do stuff. So I will think about doing it Around the Dime Pod. If not, then no. Then I didn't do one. I'm thinking about the NFL season, maybe just talking about it all on Friday, because Sunday pods are kind of hard because it's not that I'm not complaining. I love doing pods. It's just over the weekend sometimes I really like the Saturday and Sunday off. But I don't know. It all depends. But the Around the Diamond Pod, we will see if we're going to do that. I will, whatever I do. So just be prepared for the Sunday Around the Diamond Pod and stuff like that. So anyway, we have a lot of sports to talk about. There's another outbreak in the MLB. The Mets positive test / the Yankees, because their season now gets postponed. Their series, I mean. And then the MLB teams just in general, how they could affect them. NBA draft lottery / the Knicks in the NBA. The Knicks... the NBA draft lottery was last night. We find out who has the first 14 picks. I will tell you that coming up later on in the show. The Knicks are one of them. I will tell you their pick. It's not a pick that all these Knicks fans really, really, really wanted, but it is a pick that I guess is okay. They still got top 10. We'll talk about it in a little bit. And we have the Yankees, Mets, Nets, and Islanders. Yankees played yesterday, took a tough loss. Mets played or did not play yesterday. They got postponed. Nets played today. Islanders played yesterday. The Islanders finished off that series. I'll talk about all of that coming up later on the podcast. With all that being said, this is the BSN Arc podcast, and let's get right into it. So the Mets postponed games versus Marlins, Yankees, after a player and staff member reportedly test positive for COVID-19. So we've seen this happen multiple times within the MLB season. We've seen it happen multiple times within the MLB season already. We've seen it happen with the Reds. We saw it happen with the Marlins. We saw it happen with the, wasn't there another team? I don't know. We saw it happen with the Reds, especially the Marlins. The Marlins took a big break. We saw it happen, not with the Phillies, but we saw the Phillies get impacted by us. That was the really first big, hit. That was the really first big strike. Oh, we also saw it with the Cardinals. That's the other team. I knew it wasn't just the Mets and the Marlins. I was like, there's got to be another team. So we saw it happen with the Mets, the Marlins, Cardinals, and multiple teams were affected by that. You had the Phillies were affected by 3 games. They played 3 games, and then all of a sudden they got shut down. They got shut down for I think 9 days, and then they came back and played the Yankees. So they got shut down. They got completely shut down. They got completely forget about it. They ain't playing. Then the Marlins got shut down. Although the Marlins aren't playing that bad right now, then that correlates into a big bowling ball. Now, let me tell you what. The Reds had the worst outbreak of them all. Now, one case is too many. One case is too many for anything. For regular everyday life and in sports. One positive case is too many. Even if you're only it was one and done, that's too many. You want none. You want no positive cases ever. You want one day where there's no positive cases in anything. Multiple days. We want all this to stop right now. I mean, I would imagine you would. I don't know why you wouldn't. I don't know why anybody would be hoping that the virus goes on for more. No. I would imagine all of us want this virus to stop right now. So one case isn't that much, but we don't like that one case. We like to see no cases. We like to see everything come back negative. We like to see everything be positive in that negative way, meaning that negative test is positive, meaning this is where it doesn't make sense. Meaning a negative test is a good thing. So if you're down, as a fan and you get those multiple negative tests, that is a positive thing. So those negative tests are good to see. Multiple teams are getting those negative tests. One team isn't. That was the Mets. They have a staff member test positive and a player test positive. Now, here's the deal. We don't know what player it is. We have no clue what player it is. We have absolutely no clue. It is either a star, a bullpen guy, a whatever. We have no clue who tested positive. Whoever it was, though, has caused a little bit of a problem. The Mets-Yankees game has gone postponed. Friday, Saturday, Sunday's game. Today's game got postponed automatically because you really can't play that next day after a player tests positive. Because today the Mets will probably stay in Miami, and they'll probably get rapid testing is probably what the deal is with the Mets. So we can't, forget about the Mets playing against the Yankees today. Now, we won't play against the Yankees Saturday or Sunday. I don't like that. I wish the Yankees would play against them. Really looking forward to the Subway Series. I was actually going to probably wear my Yankees gear on the pod today, but that wasn't the case as the Yankees and Mets series ended up getting postponed. Subway Series is a big deal for New York sports. It's a big deal for New York sports. Obviously, I'm sure many of you who watch my podcast, you know that. And if you're not a fan of New York sports, just know Yankees and Mets is a big deal for New York sports. Not even just baseball fans, for New York sports in general. It's when any two New York sports teams face against each other, especially the Yankees and Mets, Subway Series, rivals, you kind of want that crown of who's going to take New York, right? You have 6 games. Whoever wins that game kind of takes the crown of New York for baseball, right? It was either going to be the Yankees or the Mets. I would imagine it'd probably be the Yankees. But I'll tell you what, this is a problem, and I hope that it gets resolved soon because see, here's the problem. When one team gets it, that affects other teams. That affects the teams that were playing against them. Now, the Marlins, who just had an outbreak, now they're going to have to get tested again. Because who knows? Did he get tested positive? Did he play not knowing he was positive, then test positive that next day? What was the deal? So now all of a sudden the Marlins have to get tested, a team who just went through a major outbreak. And they were the first team to endure an outbreak, although a lot of those players have the antibodies, which is a good thing because that usually means it's going to fight off the virus. A lot of those players have antibodies, so that usually means they get it, they'll fight it off. They're not going to have any problem. What antibodies should do. That is why they would want a vaccine, because the vaccine gives you the antibodies, pretty much, I think. It gives you a little bit of it, but not to the point where it's really going to affect you. It's so then you can get the antibodies, and then when you get whatever you're getting the vaccine for, you don't get it. So they have the antibodies. Technically, they already have the vaccine. There's not a real vaccine out, but if you have and you recovered from it, you have the antibodies. So they have the antibodies. So I would imagine it's not going to affect the Marlins too much. But the Mets, it could, because the Mets have not had a case yet. So that's a bad thing. And what I was trying to say, going back to the point where it affects every team, it does. That's a proven fact. Look what the Marlins did. They affected the Phillies. They affected the Yankees. They affected the Yankees, and they weren't even planned to play the Yankees. It was because they affected the Phillies, who were supposed to play the Yankees. They affected the Orioles, who were supposed to play the Marlins, who then had to play the Yankees. Right? It affects every team, because then it affects the team you were playing, that team they were going to play, especially that was the final game of the series. So it wasn't like they had one more game against each other. That was the final game. So today, the Mets would have head back to New York. I would have had to find out what the Marlins are doing. But now the Mets don't play the Yankees, so the Yankees series is messed up. So now the Yankees is postponed. So now they're going to have to reschedule that. The Yankees now have 3 days off until... Now, I would hope that the Yankees actually get a play. Sometimes they've done this. They did it with the Yankees and the Orioles. Instead of the Yankees getting those 3 days off against the Phillies to try to wait and see what would happen, they ended up setting them over and saying, we're going to Baltimore to play the Orioles. I don't know if that was what's going to happen now. If the Yankees, right now, who knows? For all we know, the Yankees could be on a bus to somewhere right now. I would hope that's the case, and they would play a game tonight against the team, not the Mets, but against the team, instead of having that 3 days off. Because the Yankees were not in contact with the team that had it. The Yankees weren't in contact with the team who had it. That's a proven fact. It's a proven fact. I mean, the Yankees, the Rays, I'm assuming right now don't have it. I mean, there's been no news on that. Rays don't have it. Yankees don't have it, so they could go and play any team. It's not like the Yankees and Mets just played, and now all of a sudden they both have it, so now they're going to give the Yankees so serious. So now the Marlins have to get tested, which means tonight's Marlins game, wherever they are, that might get postponed because they were playing them. You have to also find out who's in that inner circle of the player and the staff member. It stinks that it's a player and a staff member because now you have to worry about 2 inner circles An inner circle means they kind of like where you were. Like, are you near him? Were you close to him? Locker, kind of were you in his inner circle? So pretty much, like, for example, let's just say a bullpen guy gets it, the inner circle would probably be the rest of the bullpen pitchers. Like, if a bullpen catcher got it, the inner circle would probably be that whole bullpen. They would have to get tested twice, I think. I think the people who are not in his inner circle get tested once. The people who are, they get tested. I think they have to test like negative 2 or 3 times. So whatever the case may be, they have to find out who's in their inner circle. What stinks about having 2 people is now you have to find out who's in the staff member's inner circle and who is in the player's inner circle. We don't know who this player is. I've said that earlier on in the podcast. We have no clue. It could be a bullpen guy. It could be an infielder. It could be an outfielder. It could be a DH. It could be a player that got just called up from the alternate site. It could literally be a minor league player that hasn't played. It could be anybody. All we know is that there is a case and it is a problem. So there's one case. I hope this turns into the Cincinnati Reds. And the reason I say that, and it's not like the reason I say that is because I don't like when teams get postponed because it affects everything. I don't like it. It affects everything. It really does affect everything. Even if the Yankees really aren't affected from it, like the Yankees are affected from it right now. But even if the Yankees aren't, like the Reds situation, Yankees had no problem with the Reds being. With the Yankees the Yankees didn't have an issue when the Reds got postponed. Same thing with the Yankees. Like that's another thing. Like the Yankees had an issue when the Marlins got postponed. Because then the Phillies couldn't play against the Yankees, so then the Yankees had to go from Philadelphia to Baltimore to play a 3-game series. I mean, this is what it is, I guess, in a 60-game season. That's why the bubble's the best. You don't have to worry about any outbreaks whatsoever. And the MLB's been doing very, very well, too, with this policies. Now, you wonder, where the heck did he get this virus? Because if the Mets haven't had it, where does he get it? That's my confusion. I don't know where in the world he could have got this. Was it from a Marlins player? But then the Marlins player would have tested positive. That's my whole deal. It's like, how does he get it? Was it an alternate site? You could have always said it could have been an alternate site player. He got it from that alternate site, brought it up here, and now all of a sudden he's got tested positive. I don't know. That's what's so confusing about this virus is you really have no clue where these cases come from. They just pop up. And I really hope this is a Cincinnati Reds situation. The Cincinnati Reds had 1 positive case and none other negative. Or everyone else was negative, Everyone else was negative, which is very good. There was not one other positive case except the one negative player against the one positive player. Let me backtrack a couple steps here. There was 1 positive player on the Cincinnati Reds. Nobody else tested positive except that one player. Even players in his inner circle did not test positive, which is great news. We still don't know who that player is. Sometimes the players do release it. Sometimes they just want to be private about it. But what I'm trying to say is these players, man, they are really, really, really Cincinnati Reds. You could tell they were following the health protocols because the one player that tested positive was not in his the people that were in his inner circle, which means the people that were literally close to him that had the virus, people that were in his inner circle, meaning like in the past 24 hours, they were close to him, less than 6 feet, talking to him, next to him, kind of stuff like that. Nobody tested positive, which means they were following all the protocols. They weren't high-fiving each other, spitting, hugging each other, all that stuff. They weren't doing any of that. That means that they were following the protocols, wearing their mask when they need to. That means that they're following all the protocols. And I don't want to say this about the Marlins, but even the Cardinals. I think 13 of the players some of those Cardinals players went to a casino. They erupted that whole team. That whole team shut down for, 3 weeks? Almost 2 months. That whole team shut down. They just got started back playing. That whole team gets shut down. And because players were being irresponsible going to casinos. Same with Miami. I'm pretty sure they were out partying one night. They all got it. Cincinnati Reds, they had 1 positive case. They weren't doing anything. They were following all the rules. They got that positive case. Could have very well been the guy picking up food somewhere, which isn't a bad thing. It's better than going to a party or casino. And the guy could have very well got it from just walking around. Even though you have a mask on, you could still technically get it. It's hard, but you could still technically get it. So, whatever the case may be, because these guys have to go outside too, people. It's not like these guys are going from their house to back up a car right up into their front door and walk into the car, right? It's not like these guys have to get out of the house. So when you get out of the house, you're more prone to it because it's out there, right? You're out there. When you go to a store, when you go to a barbershop, wherever you do, you're more prone to it than if you were inside locked down, right? But that's why you wear a mask and stuff. That's where the Cincinnati Reds are following all the protocols, and you could tell that. So we're gonna get a real we're gonna get a real test if the Mets are following all the protocols. So I did see Trevor Bauer has a YouTube channel, and it highlights all these athletes. Trevor Bauer is a pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds, very good pitcher. Not the biggest fan of him. I have an iffy feelings. He's a kind of a hothead. He's a little cocky. I like players that are humble. I also like players that are very passionate for the game. He is one of them. He is passionate for the game. But he's kind of like cocky, hothead in a way. But, it is what everybody has different personalities. I'm personally trying to stay humble. Not everybody tries to stay humble. But anyway, I was watching the channel. What they do is, so now the Mets will probably stay in Miami. Luckily, the Cincinnati Reds had this issue at their home ballpark in Cincinnati. I think it actually helps when you're home, because the Marlins had it when they were on the road. I think it helps when you're actually at your home field, because then you could just go back home, not have to worry about where you're going. Because now the Mets are probably stuck in Miami. They're stuck in that hotel room. They're stuck with all the players. Somebody's got it. And now they're not even going to be able to get back to New York because they're going to have to do rapid testing today. So, rapid testing is when they give you this little cup, you spit into it, you give it back to the people. They send it over to the commissioner's office or whatever. He has to review them, make sure all of them are negative. Then you have to take like another test, whatever the case may be, blah, 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 so on and so forth. All of a sudden, you either find out that you have it or you don't, or whatever the case may be. So, with all that being said, the Mets do have an issue. The Mets and Yankees series, Subway Series, one of the greatest series in baseball, is postponed, and it stinks. It stinks, but it is what it is, and I hope the Mets, I'm beating this, even though I dislike the Mets big time. I hate them. They're one of my least favorite baseball team. I do hope the Mets come back soon, because they're going to mess things up, because now the Yankees have to play the Braves. If the Mets aren't ready and it turns into a St. Louis Cardinals situation, the Yankees-Mets series after the Braves will get postponed. So I hope the Mets, this is almost like a Red situation. I don't want it to turn into a Cardinals, because then that means the Yankee series is going to get postponed. It's going to turn into a whole flop on the baseball. It's going to turn into a full flop. I would rather this turn into a Red situation. One player test positive. They were following all the protocols, things like that. Now, I will tell you this, and I don't want to start any of this baloney because I know how people feel. The Mets, the past couple of games against the Marlins, have been scoring big amount of runs. They have been really, celebrating big time in the dugout and stuff. When they're hitting these home runs, they've been really hitting these home runs. They've been destroying the ball, 11, 12 runs, right? I don't know if they could have caught it from possibly gathering in the dugout. I don't know if it could have been from that, or it could have just straight up been the guy got it. I don't even want to say where he got it because I have no clue. I have no clue how he had it. If the Marlins don't have it, then how does I'm not going to get into it because I might sound stupid. But what I'm trying to say is they have been doing a lot of celebrating in the dugout, players getting big hits, big home runs, lots of runs. Don't know if it could be from that. I don't want to start any of that stuff because people could think I'm outrageous for saying that. But it could be a possibility. But I hope this Mets situation turns into a Reds, meaning they only had one positive case, and the Reds were back out there playing like 2-3 days after they had that positive case. They only had one or two games postponed, and that's workable. That is workable. 1 or 2 games postponed. You could have 1 or 2 games postponed every season. I mean, the rain. The Yankees had 1 postponed already this season due to rain. I'm pretty sure they had 1. You could have 1 or 2 postponed. It's when you get into like the double digits, like the 10-15 game postponed, like the Cardinals. What did they have? Like 20 games postponed? I think, yeah, because they're like, what? They're still like I don't even think they've played 10 games yet. They're doing double headers. That's literally all they're doing. They're literally racking up with a bunch of double headers. So I hope this Mets is at Reds. I hope the Mets are the Reds. And there's only 1 positive case. They get back out there on the field very well. If it's like the Reds, they could get back out there on Monday. And play whoever they're going to play. I would have to look at the schedule. Because if it turns into a Cardinal situation, then all of a sudden the Yankees will have this 3 days off. They'll play the Braves starting on Monday through Wednesday. Then we'll have to play the Mets Thursday. All of a sudden, we don't get to play the Mets. That's 6 days off in your last 9 days. So, hopefully, the Mets get this situation panned out and it doesn't turn into anything major. No, I've said this multiple times, but hopefully it's a Reds situation where the Reds are back out there playing. The Reds, having had a positive case on Sunday, were back out there playing on Wednesday. So hopefully that's the case. Hopefully it is not a Cardinals-Marlins situation, because the Marlins and Cardinals have been the worst so far. Reds have been the best. They had won, and they got the test after Sunday's game. Then all of a sudden, Monday, Tuesday, they had off. Boom, out there Wednesday. So hopefully, or maybe it was Saturday or Sunday, I don't know. But either way, it was less than 15, 20 days where these other teams were. So anyway, the Mets postponed games versus Marlins, Yankees after player and staff member reportedly test positive for COVID-19. The New York Mets will not be playing the Miami Marlins as planned on Thursday night. The game was postponed hours prior to first pitch because the Mets had a player and staff member test positive for COVID-19, according to Tim Haley of Newsday. Major League Baseball has since announced that Mets' scheduled game for Friday night against the Yankees has already been postponed, according to MLB's Mark Feinsand. It's unclear if the Mets will be able to play the Yankees on either Saturday or Sunday. I think it's pretty much already got postponed. If MLB follows the same playbook that employed last week when the Cincinnati Reds had a player test positive, then it seems unlikely that the Mets will play until Tuesday at the earliest, which is good. I said Monday or Tuesday, it's good. Like I'm saying, the Reds was a good situation. Yes, they missed a couple of days, but it wasn't like they missed St. Louis Cardinals or Miami Marlins time. Yes, they missed a couple of days, but they only missed 3 or 4. That is nothing. That could be rainouts. 3 or 4 days could be, you could have an off day, rain out, then play. There's already 2 games, 2 days off. Right? The Mets here, you just hope that this does not turn into a Miami Marlins situation. That's all you could say. MLB has already departed from its approach in one notable way. The league is allowing the Mets to fly home. Oh, they are. See, the league is allowing the Mets to fly home. I didn't think they would allow them to fly home. I thought they would have to stay in Miami, get tested, then they would be able to. Really? Because flying, you're in that condensed area. Maybe they're going to get tested before they fly, maybe. I don't know. I'm just glad I'm not having to run all this stuff. Unlike with the Reds, the league contact tracing determined the player who tested positive hadn't had much contact with their teammates, minimizing the perceived risk, according to Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic. Based on what is known about the virus, the incubation period can range from 2 to 14 days. That means an infected individual can still test negative. COVID-19 still test negative. COVID-19 seems unlikely to transfer between teams, provided their interaction is on the field. The highest risk of transmission is when individuals spend a prolonged time in a crowd within an enclosed or poorly ventilated area at intimate distances. That's why you're seeing a lot more rainouts. Because I think the rainouts is like an hour and a half and you call it. Because they don't want to be in the locker room that long. That's the problem. That's where these players go in the locker room, people, is the rainouts. That's where these players go. That's where they go in the rainouts. They go in the locker room. So that's why some of these rainouts you got to think, might get postponed. Not because of the rain, just because these players are in such condensed areas. So it's a long time. If a player gets positive out of that area, so many other players can get positive from that. Or in other words, not during a game on the baseball field. Although MLB season is less than a month old, the league has already had to alter its schedule in significant manner due to positive tests. Both the Marlins and St. Louis Cardinals had outbreak situation that led to teams being sidelined for weeks. The Mets are scheduled to play the Marlins again beginning on Tuesday if the Mets are allowed to resume their season by then. The clubs could make up their game in a doubleheader. The Mets are also scheduled to play the Yankees again later in August, which could come in handy if a weekend series is postponed entirely. So, I guess the Rays took a little bit more time than I thought, but the Rays, they took weeks. The Reds, they took weeks. The Marlins and the Cardinals, they mentioned that the Reds took 3 or 4 days, and they were out of there. So that's good. Hopefully the Mets do get out of this spike quickly, and hopefully they get back out there on the field. Even though I'm not a Mets fan, you never like to see these outbreaks. As an MLB fan, each outbreak gives the season a less of a chance to finish. So, but I shouldn't actually say that because not really, because it's not like after the Red situation. That barely was an outbreak. That's almost like saying, oh, we just have an off day, couple rainouts. Like, you could literally have, the Yankees have had it before where they'll have like 2-3 rainouts in a row. Like, they will just have rainouts after rainouts. Like, there's been times where it's just raining in New York or raining wherever they're at. They'll have multiple rainouts. Or they'll have an off day, then the next day will be a rainout. That's 2 days off, right? The Mets could very well have 3-4 days off. It's not like these players are getting all randomly in the middle of the season getting weeks off. Today will be a big day. Today and tomorrow will be a big day because today you'll probably get more of the cases depending on if there is any more. And then tomorrow you'll also get some, cases. But all in all, players haven't really been testing positive. There's been no positive cases except this. So meaning like there hasn't been a positive case, I don't think, in like a week except this. So the only time when you hear about a positive case, you hear about it. So, but the virus has officially hit New York, I guess you could say. It has officially hit New York. New York sports has not had meaning like baseball wise. Luckily, I've been knocking on wood. Like luckily, the Yankees. I shouldn't even be saying this because don't want to jinx it, but knock on wood, the Yankees have done very well with everything. The Yankees have not had a problem with the virus. They've been able to play season. They've had a couple schedule miscues, but that was because other teams getting it. But now it finally hits a New York sports baseball team, so this should be interesting and see what happens. So the Mets will fly home today. I don't know. They might be flying home already, but they will be flying home today. So we'll see what happens with all that. And then we'll go from there. So I guess this weekend will be big to see what happens with the scheduling and all that stuff. So we'll see what happens with the Mets. Obviously, Yankees games are postponed, which stinks, but it is what it is. Got to do what you got to do when you get a case there. So that's what I got for the Mets. Coming up next, we have the NBA Draft Lottery in the order and the analysis of every team, what they could do with their pick. Coming up next. Alrighty, so the NBA Draft Lottery results 2020, full selection, order, and analysis, and more. So the NBA Draft Lottery is, in fact, back. It happened yesterday. The Knicks get the first pick. Or the Knicks don't get the first pick, my bad. The Timberwolves get the first pick. Some Knicks fans will say, okay, they're happy with the 10th pick, or 8th pick. Most Knicks fans would say, I'm not happy. Probably 80% of Knicks fans will say, I'm not happy, disappointed, can't stand this. Some Knicks fans will say, I'm okay with a top 10 pick. They had a 9% chance to get that number 1 pick. They did not convert. They did not get that number 1 pick. They had a 9% chance of getting it. They got the 8th pick. Same thing with the Timberwolves. They had a 14% chance of getting it. They got the first pick. So a top 3 team did get the first pick. Got that one right. I did predict that. We said that they would get a first pick. Yeah. So the NBA Draft Lottery results 2020, full selection, order, and analysis, and more. So the NBA Draft Lottery is where they take those balls, they throw them in there, and obviously they throw the balls in there. It's like that little ball machine. It's literally. I'm not a huge fan of draft lottery. Although the Rangers got the first overall pick, I still believe it should go by worst team. I'm happy that the Rangers got their first pick, but I still believe the Detroit Red Wings should have got it. The Detroit Red Wings, technically. Like, come on, be real here, please. Like, be real here. Like, the Detroit Reds going to draw the worst team in the league, and they're going to get the 4th pick. So, the Timberwolves are in fact going to get the first pick. I'm not a big fan of lotteries. I like how the NFL does it. They just go by worst record, and if you traded with that team, they go by worst record. So last season it was the Bengals, the Redskins. Number 3 was the Lions. Number 4 was the Giants. 5 was the Dolphins. It goes by worst record. That's how it goes. And then number 6 was so on and so forth. So the Jets had a 7-9 record. It was an okay record, so they got the 11th pick. And then usually the last team the last pick in the draft, the Chiefs had it. They won the Super Bowl. So they got Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the final pick of the draft. So the NBA draft, I'm not a big fan of the lottery, even though the Rangers won it. It does make it intriguing. I will tell you that for sure. You are on the edge of your seat, especially when you have a team that has a chance of doing it. Last night, I was just watching it for joy. I was just watching it just to see what would happen because I knew the Nets had no chance of getting it. The Nets weren't even a top 14 team. The Nets hold the 22nd pick, I think, currently right now. So we had no chance of getting it. As for when I was watching the Rangers, I was on the edge of my seat, like hoping the Rangers would get it because I knew we had a chance. And we ended up getting it, which is great. Going to get Alex Laflaherty out of Quebec, Canada, which should be great. Him, Capo Caco. Talk about it a little bit later. I could go on a whole show about that. It could be great for us. Bright future ahead for the Rangers. But back to the NBA draft lottery. I'm not a huge fan of a lottery because I think it should be awarded to the worst team. I think it is intriguing instead of just being like, oh, well, we're the worst team, we're going to get the first pick. The Knicks last year were one of the worst teams in the league. They did not get the first pick. The Pelicans were average. The Pelicans weren't horrible. They ended up getting the first pick. So, it is what it is. The Pelicans had a chance this season. They were a team that made the bubble, and they still had a chance of getting a first pick. So, it is what it is. I think personally the Warriors technically should get it because they did have the worst record. But all in all, the Timberwolves had a bad season as well, and they got the first pick. So I'm not really mad with the draft lottery as long as a team who should have got it, got it. Like, if a team like I don't know. I got to look. Who was the result? Who had the last pick? If a team like, who got the 14th pick? If a team like the Celtics, for example, or let's just say a team like the Celtics that were in it, let's say a team like the Celtics got the first pick, like that would be a problem. Like that's where it gets a problem. Like if a team like the Celtics got insanely lucky and they got a first pick, that would be a problem. Like the Celtics, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker, whoever their first pick would be, Enes Kanter, whoever their first pick would be, that team would be unstoppable. So in a way, it's like, and they had like I think a 0.5% chance of winning the lottery. But you get what I'm saying, right? You get what I'm saying. I mean, even like a team like the Memphis Grizzlies, if they would have got the first pick, it would have been Jaren Jackson Jr., Valanciunas, and then whoever their first pick was, they almost made the playoffs. They were in the play-in series against the Trailblazers. They win 2 of those games, they make the playoffs. That's a playoff team getting the first pick, right? So they once again had a 0.5% chance, but still, you have that slim sliver of possibility of a team that should not get it getting it. Every year it happens, the team that should get it gets it. Last year was a little iffy. Everybody thought the Knicks were going to get the first pick, and when they didn't get the first pick, everybody was expecting, or when they everybody was expecting them to get the first pick, they ended up not getting the first pick. They ended up getting the third pick. And I'm sure a lot of people, if they didn't get the first pick, would expect them to get the second pick, but they ended up getting the third pick, which isn't horrible. They got RJ Barrett, who I think, really has brought the energy to New York. I think Knicks fans are happy what he gave to them in his first year. I think he came into the Knicks situation, a lot of heat around him. Everybody wanted Zion, and I think he knew that. Everybody wanted Zion. Not many people were happy with the third pick. I think he came in here, he's close with Zion, but I think he came in here telling him, all right, you guys can, I'm not injury prone. You guys can, watch me play. I can ball. I'm a good player too. I think that's what he kind of did too with the Knicks fans. Everybody was like, "Oh, we want Zion. We want Zion. We want Zion." Okay, we got RJ. All right, I'm happy for this. Oh no, and RJ, we wanted Zion, but I think he came into New York. He came into a huge city, the Big Apple, big media, diehard fans, and played very well. And in a way, I feel like he was more successful than Zion. Zion, I know, is a Rookie of the Year candidate, but Zion missed 20 games also. So, and RJ Barrett stayed healthy the whole season, except a couple ankle sprains here and there, but nothing where it missed time like Zion's injury. So, it is what it is. But I'll tell you what, all in all, the Knicks got a good pick and a bright future player out of that third pick. So the Knicks last night got the third pick, which is tough. Or the 8th pick, which is tough. Not many Knicks fans were hoping for the 8th. I'm sure Knicks fans were either hoping for another top 3 pick, or they were hoping for a pick better than the 8th. I think the 8th is deep. But the Knicks, all in all, were not expected to get the number 1 pick. Really, not everybody had the Knicks getting number 1 pick on their mock drafts. But what the big deal is now that the Knicks don't get the first pick, they have a chance to get Cole Anthony. At that 8 spot, they have a good chance of getting Cole Anthony, a guard out of North Carolina. Cole Anthony is one of the better players in this draft. He could very well go number 1 if it was never for 2 huge names in front of him, in Anthony Edwards and LaMelo Ball and James Wiseman. James Wiseman had a lot of stuff going on with Memphis and stuff like that. He's now could go number 1. But you look at it, with the NBA draft lottery, the Knicks are in a good position now to get Cole Anthony. They are in a very good position to get Cole Anthony. If I was a Knicks fan, I would be perfectly fine with that. Now you have Cole Anthony, R.J. Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, who's actually has done very well with them. You got a couple players here and there, but nobody's that's going to make a huge impact. Now, as a Knicks fan, I would be thinking this. Even though you're not happy with the 8th pick, now you have your future set. You're going to build around R.J. Barrett and Cole Anthony. You're kind of building around, I guess, RJ in a way. But now your future set. It's Cole Anthony and RJ Barrett. Or whoever they pick. We're going to go with Cole Anthony because that's what I think could happen. I think that's what could very well happen. But you're set with, let's just say, Cole Anthony and RJ Barrett. You're set. Those are your 2 solid players. Now you maybe get some players in free agency. You already have Julius Randle. You have Mitchell Robinson. You already have those players. Now you build around them. All of a sudden, okay, we're moving. Maybe next season you see a little bit of a leap. I'm not expecting playoffs out of the Knicks for the next 3 years. Maybe next season you experience a little bit of a leap. Maybe that next season you experience, all right, we were a couple games out of the playoffs. That next series, 3 years from now, we're talking, they make the playoffs, right? You got to start now. You have RJ, pick somebody else up. Now all of a sudden, you have some other players pick up free agency. All of a sudden, you might turn into a free agency destination because players want to play with Cole Anthony and RJ Barrett, 2 young talents in the league. So, if I was Knicks fans, I would look at the upside because there's a lot more upside than there is downside, I would say, about the Knicks' future. Meaning, like, player-wise. They have RJ Barrett. He's got a bright future. Whoever they get in this draft, they have a bright future. Mitchell Robinson could very well turn into a very good center throughout the league. He's got a pretty bright future ahead of him. This is a young talent team. I think this team, as a Knicks fan, I know there's not a lot to be proud of. I know there's not a lot to be happy of. I've said it so many times about the Jets. There's not much to be proud of. There is a lot of future on the Jets, though. There is a lot of good, bright futures on the Jets. Quentin Williams got a bright future. Mekhi Becton's got a bright future. I think Darnold will have an up year this year. I think Mims could very well do very well with us. The Jets have some future talent. Same thing with the Knicks. There's a lot more bad than there is good. But if I was a Knicks fan getting this 8th pick, I would think to myself, okay, we have a top 10 pick. Just think of that. Okay, it could have been worse. You could have got like the 13th pick or something. You got the top 10 pick, and you should be happy with that. So NBA draft lottery, NBA lottery results 2020, full selection order analysis, and more. Minnesota Timberwolves will be the first team on the clock in the 2020 NBA draft after they won the number 1 overall pick in Thursday's lottery. The celebrations in Minneapolis will likely be somewhat scheduled or subdued compared to the reaction in the Big Easy when the New Orleans Pelicans won the 2019 draft lottery. From the moment the results came in, Zion Williamson was slotted into the Pelicans' front court. The 2028 draft class lacks a similar consensus best players available. With the lottery now complete, the first round of the draft is set. 2020 NBA draft first round order. It goes Minnesota Timberwolves, Golden State Warriors, Charlotte Hornets, Chicago Bulls, Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland Cavaliers was a team that was what many thought would get the number 1 pick. They didn't. See, it really all depends. It's luck. Atlanta Hawks, Detroit Pistons, New York Knicks, Washington Wizards, Phoenix Suns, San Antonio Spurs, Sacramento Kings, New Orleans Pelicans, Boston Celtics via the Grizzlies, Orlando Magic, Portland Trailblazers, Minnesota Timberwolves via the Nets, Dallas Mavericks, Brooklyn Nets via the 76ers, Miami Heat, Philadelphia 76ers via the Thunder, Denver Nuggets via the Rockets, Utah Jazz, Milwaukee Bucks via the Pacers, Oklahoma City Thunder via the Nuggets, Boston Celtics, New York Knicks via the Clippers, Los Angeles Lakers, Toronto Raptors, Boston Celtics via the Bucks. So, to be honest here, the Boston Celtics have 3 picks in the first round. That's actually very good. Jeez, that's very good. Their 14th pick will probably be a very good player. Their next pick will probably be a player that could maybe be 6th man. Then their next pick, who knows, the 30th pick in the draft. You still have 3 first-round picks, though. It's a big deal. And the Knicks have two. They have the 27th and they have the 8th. So if I was a Knicks fan, I wouldn't be horribly angry about all this. I would be more, I would be very angry. I'm not a Knicks fan. I'm glad I'm not, but I would definitely be angry. I would definitely probably be like, oh, we can't do anything right. Oh, great, this is horrible, right? I would be angry, but to be honest, I would go ahead and say, hey, well, at least, as a Nets fan, because I'm a Nets fan, I've suffered for a while. At least we have a bright future ahead of us. As a Knicks fan, I'm not a Knicks fan, but as a Knicks fan, I feel your pain. I would just try to think of the upside and just think, hey, you have a top 10 pick. You have a top 10 pick. In the most recent mock draft, Bleacher Report's Jonathan Wasserman pegged Georgia star Anthony Edwards to go to the Atlanta Hawks. LaMelo Ball, who went number 2 to the Detroit Pistons, is considered by some to be the top prospect, but wouldn't make sense on a team that already has Trae Young. Wasserman reported Thursday that opinions are all over the place regarding incoming class and that results of the draft may not align with the views of fans and experts. The general belief all year, LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, and James Wiseman as top 3 overall favorites, with Obi Toppin, Denny Avdija, Oakley Amanubi, and Isaac Okoro mixed into a tier that easily slightly overlaps or follows, but based from some scouts' take I've heard over the past few weeks, mock drafts could start looking silly right from the top. I've heard Avdija being ranked higher than LaMelo. Wiseman graded as a late lottery pick. Jalen Smith and over Agakwe or Okoro being compared to Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. Patrick Williams mentioned as a sleeper to be the draft's top prospect. There are international scouts with Keelan Hayes, a top 5, and college scouts who don't see it. Evaluating a player's skill set and projecting his value is difficult under normal circumstances. The COVID-19 pandemic has made the process even harder by forcing the cancellation of the NCAA tournament and traditional draft showcases. ESPN Adrian Wojnarowski reported Tuesday the NBA is looking to stage a regional versions of the combine with the video of the players' workout on measurables. Forwarded to all 30 teams. However, Wojnarowski wrote that it's unlikely that many, if any, top 2020 draft prospects would agree to the workout sessions that would be shared virtually with the league's teams from the combine sites. For President of Basketball Operations Gerson Rosas and General Manager Scott Layden, landing the number 1 pick was the easy part. Figuring out what to do will be the real test, and that's the truth. So now we're going to look at a slight NBA mock draft just to give you maybe an idea of who could very well get picked. I pressed on the wrong thing. I did not mean to press on that. Okay, NBA mock draft. Which lottery team lands LaMelo Ball? Okay, this is a quick mock draft. Minnesota Timberwolves, they have Anthony Edwards. They have them taking Anthony Edwards. Next up, it's Anthony Edwards. Golden State takes James Wiseman, which I agree with. I don't think LaMelo gets taken to the 3rd, which they have here. Charlotte Hornets taking LaMelo Ball. Chicago Bulls, Denny Avdija. Cleveland Cavaliers, Obi Toppin, who had very good. Atlanta Hawks take Tyrese Haliburton. All these players are very good, by the way. Detroit Pistons, Anika Angwe. New York Knicks, Devin Vassell, Florida State sophomore. So they could take him. Anthony Edwards is also there. Isaac Okoro is also up there. Keelan Hayes is also there. Late lottery could very well be Shaquille Bay, Patrick Williams, Jalen Smith from Maryland, which is very well good. Then you have number 15 through 20s, Orlando Magic, Kyrie Lewis. Tyrese Maxey could very well go 17. The Nets could take Leandro Balmoro out of Barcelona. See, they have Cole Anthony falling to 20. If the Nets have Cole Anthony in their hands, they have to take him. Even though we have Kyrie already at point guard, you could put him on the bench and have him come out as a sixth man. Come on. Or even Trey Jones, right? I think Trey Jones. Did they even have him going in the first round? Oh my gosh. Trey Jones, they have him going 30. Really? I would imagine Trey Jones would go way before that. Tyrese Maxey, though, I'd like to see him coming out. So, anyway, so that is what I got for the draft lottery. You saw what the teams could pick. You very well see what could be the first pick. I think the first pick probably will be Anthony Edwards, especially that now you have D'Angelo Russell, Karl Anthony Towns, and whoever your first pick is, that could be a team that you got to watch out for. That could very well be a team that you have to watch out for. And I'm not saying that just to say that. I'm not really saying that just to say that. I'm being serious. Like, that could be a very well a team that you have to watch out for when, talking about this whole draft lottery thing. And like I said, I've mixed with the draft lottery because I think the draft lottery is very good, but in a way I also think it's like just do a regular lottery or just do a regular thing. But anyway, so the Yankees yesterday lost to the Tampa Bay Rays. Got swept. Paxton's heading for an MRI on her forearm, elbow, and so is the Glaber. He's heading for a leg. So anyway, so the Yankees yesterday lost 10-5. Yankees moved to 16-9 on the season. Yankees had 5 runs, 10 hits, no errors. Rays had 10 runs, 8 hits, no errors. Yankees had 10 hits. I mean, we should be able to really win a game with that. Hicks went 0 for 4 with a walk. Voit went 3 for 5 with 2 runs scored and 2 RBIs. He had a home run. He's been hot right now. Talk went 2 for 5 with a run scored. Urshela went 2 for 4 with a run scored and 2 RBIs. Torres went 0 for 2 with an RBI. Estrada went 0 for 2. Gardner went 0 for 2. Frazier went 0 for 3 with a walk. Kratz went 2 for 4. Wade went 1 for 4 with a run scored. I'll tell you what, Eric Kratz yesterday had some good hits. Put him in. He can make contact, unlike Sanchez. Honestly, I'm not even kidding. Put him in. Better defensive catcher, better overall player. Put him in. Sanchez can't block. He can't hit. It's home run or strikeout. He hit 2 nice hits yesterday. Eric Kratz did. I'm telling you, start Kratz over Sanchez. It's going to help you. Paxton went 5 innings, 1 hit, 3 earned, 4 walks, 8 strikeouts. Ottavino went 0.2 thirds, 2 hits, 3 earned, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Luis Avilan, 0 1 third, 1 hit, 2 earned, no walks, no strikeouts. Holder went 2 innings, 1 hit, no earned, no walks, 1 strikeout. Sessa went 1 inning, 1 hit, 2 earned, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. So the Yankees lose. They play tomorrow at earliest. Don't imagine that happening. Mets yesterday, obviously, they got canceled. So we will talk. They obviously got canceled. They have the outbreak. Talked about that earlier on in the podcast. The Nets today, they play today against the Raptors. I don't see the Nets winning this game, to be honest. I think they will probably lose again. Although they looked very, very good in that one game. You don't have Joe Harris now. He left the NBA bubble due to personal reasons. So you don't have Joe Harris. Your team's down 2-0. Raptors really know what you're doing. I do not foresee the Nets winning this game, although I hope they do. 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be watching. Go Nets. Don't foresee them winning. I say they fall 3-0 in the series. But the Nets play today against the Raptors and against Sunday against the Raptors. I will base my prediction off of what I see today. More than likely, I will give them Sunday a loss, unless if I see an insane game today where they win, they look amazing, then all of a sudden I'll be like, okay, there's a chance. But at the moment, I don't foresee a chance. I have the Nets losing this game. So, Nets lose this game. Sunday, I'll base it off of what I see. That's kind of what you got to do, I guess. So, then we have the Islanders. The Islanders move on to the next round. They won yesterday 4-0. They moved 4-1. They won yesterday 4-0. They win the series. They move on to the second round. I think it's still being decided on who they will play. I think they play the Flyers. I'm pretty sure they play the Flyers if the Flyers win their series. They play the Flyers if the Flyers win. I think the Flyers are up 3-1. They have to win one more game. So it's good news for the Islanders. Islanders are moving on. And, we shall see what happens with them in the second round. And I just want to take a quick note on the Yankees, okay? We had 10 hits yesterday, and we still couldn't come out victorious. Every team, and I understand this, believe me, I understand this. Every team, right, we had 5 runs, 10 hits, no errors. Every team has their times where they can't seem to hit. But, the Yankees right now are really struggling. And I think in a way, I think it's just, we are just struggling. We are just straight up struggling. The Tampa Bay Rays have always been a problem for us all season. They've beat us. We've played them, 7 times? They've beat us 6 of them, right? Because we played that 4-game set, then we played 3 games. They've beat us 6 out of the 7 times. And now all of a sudden we're 16-9. Now they're in first place. So, and we're in a bad position too. Because they win the division and they're up 6-7 on us. It's not like we're tied. It's not like they're winning the division, but we beat them most of these times. It's a problem, and that's where the Yankees have to start winning these games. And the Yankees look so good against the Red Sox, but that's because it's the Red Sox. And the Yankees snap a 6-game win streak. They now are on a 3-game slide. We got to get better. 16-9. Got to get better. Hopefully we can bounce back whenever we play next, whether that's tomorrow, whether that's Sunday, whether that's Monday against the Braves. Whenever we play next, hopefully we can bounce back and get a win. With all that being said, that is the end of the podcast for today. I will see if I'm going to do a Around the Diamond podcast. If I do, I will see you all back here Sunday for the Around the Diamond. If I don't, see you all back here for Monday for the All Sports Pod. So anyway, that's what I got for the podcast today. Hope you all enjoyed it. I will see you all back here either Sunday or Monday with the All Sports Pod or Around the Diamond or All Sports, whatever the case may be. Hope you enjoy your weekend. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.